All right, we are live. Happy Thursday. We're live with the. I feel like Josh doesn't need an introduction, but I am gonna give him one anyways. Joshua Scott of Studio 88, founder, creator, and sommelier extraordinaire.
Oh,
I
yeah, we'll add that now, right?
yes, yes. Oh my gosh, and you and Joanna have become like my good personal friends. But how are you? How are you doing?
Good, good. We actually was spring break week and we didn't have any plans, but the kids randomly a couple weeks ago said we had this conversation about the natural wonders of the world for some reason, and they were like, "We want to go to Niagara Falls," which is like 5 or 6 hours from us. So I was like, "Well, that's easy. Let's just go do that." So we actually drove back today, like 6 hours in the car, and it got home just in time because I was like, I gotta live with Ashley. I can't miss it, guys. We're in the
Oh
car. We're
my
leaving.
gosh, you guys literally drove for one night?
Yeah, well, we actually went up to Cleveland and spent a night, had like a really nice dinner downtown, and then drove over to Niagara and spent the day, and then came back today. So yeah,
Oh my gosh, what a fast trip. Well, I appreciate you being here.
yeah.
I texted Josh and Joanna right before we jumped on, and I said, "Did this get scheduled by mistake? Because I think you may be in Canada right now."
You're in Canada.
Canada.
Yeah, social media just slightly delayed. It was freaking you out for a minute. Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
Well, oh my gosh, I you always have so much valuable content to share with the group. But before we get into that, can we just talk about Napa really fast?
Yeah,
Because
anytime.
we were I basically asked Josh like what his thoughts were of like where the retreat is going to be this year. And I mean, did you guys have an amazing time in wine country?
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun, and and I know everybody says this. Look, part of it was the venue. I think it's just beautiful there. I mean, I love Napa. Joanna and I kind of have a deal that we're going to go at least once a year for the rest of our lives.
Yes.
It's just
You better
that.
call us when you come, by the way.
Yeah. Well, we were there last week. No,
Oh.
no, just kidding. We will, of course. Yeah, we always will. But so part of it was the venue, but then part of it was just the amazing people. I mean, in that group are just. I feel like what's so unique about this group is it's startups and people in that startup journey, whether they're
Mm.
pre-startup or kind of post-startup the first couple years or 3 or 4. But like there's just you got visionaries in that group. You got people that just see the world differently and want to do different things. And I love that. I love talking to those guys. So just all the conversations around wine country tours and dinners and stuff like that was just fantastic. So
Well, it wouldn't have been the same without Studio 88 there. And I'm going to be posting more content. I realized that I haven't actually posted anything about the retreat, and it is March, almost April.
I
Like that's
know.
wild. Just
I know.
it's been a whirlwind. But back to you. What are we talking about, Josh?
Well, whatever you want to talk about, I can jump in for sure. But all things kind of marketing, branding, websites, kind of the new evolution of where websites are at. I mean, anything that you want to talk. We can keep talking wine and Napa as well. I don't care.
I mean, I'm all about that, but I think people want to know about let's talk about, since you guys are basically the masters of defining a story, really listening to what the doctor wants to elicit in their website, the feeling, the branding. How does one start with Studio 88, and where do you go from there?
Yeah, I'll go back just a little bit. When we started this 9 years ago, well, we just finished 9 years, so I don't feel like we're the new kid on the block anymore either, which is nice. And
Yeah.
and this whole kind of concept is proven out. But 9 years ago when we started, I've been around dentistry for 23 years at this point, and I was on the marketing side. But when I looked around, it was like dental marketing sucked. It was
Yeah.
not good. And I think one of the reasons we even connected from the beginning was you were like, I see all that and I don't want that.
Right.
And I think for me, it was this conversation around dentistry is actually a really inspiring profession. It's really innovative. I sometimes I tell people, I'm like, man, dentistry was 3D printing like 12, 14 years ago, you know, the first like Seracs and things like that,
Yep.
that people don't realize all the time. And it's really a beautiful profession of humans serving humans. And we've seen that just on display post COVID. And so, you know, there was a story, that story was never being told though. And it became this kind of situation of like, well, why? Like, why are we not telling that? Because I see dentistry this way, and yet I'm
Mhm.
seeing marketing being portraying it the profession this way. And so at the heart of that is really is really the topic of branding and story. And so these are really big picture questions. And I think one of the things I've always saw when people came to me as a marketing consultant at that time and said, Josh, what would you do? What I always found was most people were 3 or 4 steps down the road further than they should be
Mhm.
addressing marketing issues. Meaning, like at the time, so this would have been like 15, 18 years ago, but it was almost like the Yellow Page rep stopped by and asked me if I wanted to change anything in the Yellow Page ad. Like, do I want to? This guy approached me about direct mail. What should I put on the postcards? And those questions, like the what questions, are really 3, 4, 5 steps down the road. And if you can't answer those if you don't have the story right, if you don't have the brand built, if you don't have those questions answered, you're going to get stuck. But when you do have the brand built, the foundation, the story told, the storylines, the narrative, now when the direct mail or whether it, you know, website or digital ads or social media, now it becomes very easy to answer those questions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, you are, I feel, a master at storytelling. Listening to you speak at our mastermind group, at our retreat, gosh, it was so important, the message that you spoke on. Do you mind just giving a quick overview? Because I it was a full hour talk with Josh, the story behind Studio 88. And I mean, what was the gist of that talk?
Yeah, I love that's kind of like my main keynote, and I love it because it actually there's a really great structure there, but I can customize it to whatever audience. So, but it's marketing your story, and there's 3 questions in it. So the first one is, um, what is it? It's what experiences or relationships have shaped you. So 3 best questions to marketing your story. Like if you said, what is my story? How do I market that? What I would do is kind of walk you through these three questions. And first one, what experiences, what relationships have shaped you? Because we're all here for a reason,
Yeah.
right? Like, so I just was speaking to OSU students last week, and I'm like, you guys are all sitting here in, you know, D1, D2, D3, D4, like for some reason. Like, how did you get here? What are those experiences? What are the relationships that have shaped that? And so I take all these 3 questions and I show current client examples of like, here's some clients that answer these questions and here's where their answers. I talk about it from my perspective of starting Studio 88, like our storyline. And then I show some big brand examples too. And I kind of put it out there like, hey, hopefully at the end of this, like I've made a compelling case why this is a really legit way to approach marketing. So that was the first question, and then the second one was, what gives you energy? Which I think is a really, really great question because Ashley, you know this. Getting into business, like if as a business owner, if there's not energy in it for you, like it's just not going to last. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. There's part of some. I do some stuff sometimes just because I'm like I want to have fun with it. Like I don't know. This gives me energy. I'm having fun. I don't care if you guys do. I need this myself. And and so like answering that question of what is it that gives you energy? Because when you can build that into your business and your story, other people, those are the connection points. People feel energy, they connect on energy. And then the last question was, what do you see? And that's really the visionary part of why did you start this practice? What did you see? What are you trying to do? What's different? What do you want to accomplish? And so I kind of walk everybody through those. I'm also encouraging them to answer those in their minds. So there's like layers of just these questions being answered. And then by the time we get done, I mean, you would ask me, you're like, hey, don't just give your normal keynote, but bring something to this group that's like personal that you don't
Cheers.
usually talk
Yes.
about. Yeah. So I don't know. Look, I felt like that group is super high achievers. I'm a super high achiever. You are. I also know that internal voice that talks to us and drives us constantly. And so I just took a moment to tell everybody, like, man, look, we've all got this fire in us. It's amazing. But sometimes you got to like set the fire down and step away from it. And that's okay to do
Yes.
that. Because otherwise it can burn you. You know, you can get to the end of this and just feel burnt out by that fire. So I was like, this is your weekend. Just set the fire down. It'll be there when we get done, I promise. But just enjoy the weekend and tell yourself everything's okay.
Absolutely. And I think our retreat this year, I really want it to be focused a lot more on that health and wellness, like well being, like really,
Yeah.
really taking time for ourselves. Because I know, I mean, it's so easy to compare how we're doing with social media, right? Everybody plays their highlight reels, and I'm guilty of that. Sometimes I just have to unsubscribe to every dental podcast because they're always listing like these are your metrics. This is the overhead you're supposed to hit. These are the number of new patients you're supposed to be getting every day. And I know our office doesn't hit those. And I think we're doing pretty freaking amazing. So but yeah, it's a struggle. And what you brought to the table was so pertinent. I feel like, man, everybody brought their A game in
Yeah.
Napa.
Yeah.
And it was so nice because it was such a small group, like an intimate, I say small, but there was 80 of us there. But it was a very different feeling in that setting. Like even like Vivek, like
Yeah.
he got super personal, and this is before happy hour. Like this is
I know.
amazing. Like everyone touched on really great topics, the topics
Yeah.
that you don't necessarily share on podcasts and on social media. So, what are you seeing with your startup docs these days? Because everyone thinks like, well, I'm going to bootstrap the website because money is tight, cash is king. And
Mhm.
I am guilty. I was one of those people, and I tried to do it myself. I tried to DIY my website. What can you walk us through why that is not such a good idea?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I totally forgot to tell you, I got a glass of wine. I know it's 4 p.m. where you are, so it's maybe a little early. It's 7 p.m. here, which so like I'm already
Totally
drunk.
appropriate,
Yeah, totally
even if it's
appropriate.
7 a.m.
I don't know. It's just like normal. It's like, hey, I'm on live with
Yeah,
Ashley. Of course, I need a glass of wine tonight.
absolutely.
Yeah. I so that's the big question when you're starting, and I get it. Part of it is the expenses keep racking up. Like you almost start your project with, oh, it's going to be a lot like this figure, and then as you get into it, it's like, no, it's a lot like double that, or adds a significant
Yeah.
amount. And I remember we were building this house that we were in about 5 years ago. And if you've ever built a home, it's one of these where it's like, again, they start you off, you're like, okay, I think it's going to be this, but then it's the plus, plus, plus as you go. And a lot of it, you're like, oh, yeah, we need that. Oh, we definitely need. I remember I put a pot filler in the kitchen, one of those things that like the
Oh,
arms.
yeah.
And I was like, I need a pot filler. Like I've never had one. I've gone my whole life without a pot filler. I need this. Um, but then one day the irrigation guy, like my phone rings, I pick it up and he's like, hey, they're out here laying the sod. If you're going to do irrigation, we need to do it right now. And I'm like, well, how much is that? And I forget what he said, right? Like 3,000, 5,000, something. And I was just like, no, no, I have to say no at some point. And so doing a startup, it's like the same thing. You're getting into it and tech goes up and construction delays and construction costs and environmental studies and attorney fees that you were planning on having a little bit, but now it's become a lot
Mhm.
and all these things. And at some point you're like, I have to say no to something.
Right.
And usually it's those decisions that maybe are further down the road when the expenses are piled up, you've got this decision
Mhm.
fatigue. But here's the thing. I would say on average, most dental startups I see probably in the first 10 years of their life change marketing companies at least two, but I would probably say on average three times in that 10 years. And most of it is because they started off trying to do something cheap or bootstrap or DIY or somebody's cousin, right? I get it. It's all fine, but that's how they start. They get a couple years into it. They kind of like, okay, we got a website, we got brand. They get a couple years into it. I never really like that. They try and do it again, maybe a step up financially, mid tier type company. Still don't like it, but it's a lot of work. Usually they have to write those websites themselves. So it's like hours after work of tediously writing a website and building this thing. Finally, they're like, just launch it. Another 2 or 3 years later, they're like, I don't like this. Like let's take so 3 times in 10 years, which if you think about it, that is bananas when it comes to
Mhm.
running a company. Like you never build momentum. The fact that you have to start and stop with your marketing, with your brand, and so for me, it's not the cost initially investment, it's the opportunity cost 3, 4, 5 years down the road of A, not capturing the patients, your ideal patients right from the start. Like you're not capturing them. So there's that opportunity cost. And then there's the one of, do you want to redo this 3 times in the next 10 years?
Mhm.
So you may think it's like an investment on the front end, but I'm like, so that's an investment into my mental health in
Yeah.
year one to like get this right for the next 10 years. So I don't have to touch it. That is my mental health. And that is an investment that's worth making.
Absolutely. And I know that everyone's worried about startup fees. I will say, and I've said it 100 times, is I get on my soapbox. In our area, it's super competitive. I mean, most areas are becoming super competitive, but the patients, we always ask them, like, how did you find us? And it was the reviews first. Like, they'll go to Yelp and then they'll go to Google, read all our reviews, check out our social media. But more than likely, they're telling me that they chose our office after seeing our website and after hearing the stories that I've shared on the video, because video is, I mean, video is everything to really understand like a person's story and heart and passion and why they do what they do. There's nothing that will replace this. And it really is like I have doctors calling me asking me who did my website. So you guys, Studio 88 did my website, smilingcompany.com. They're fabulous. And I know that you guys actually have a knockoff company called Studio 88, and I don't know if they did it to capture your
Is that real?
um yeah, there's a
Are
Studio
you
88.
joking with me right now?
No, no. Oh, is this news?
I
I
have
feel
not seen this.
okay, so then we can talk about this
This
offline.
is breaking news right now.
It's breaking
Oh,
news.
I thought you were joking. I have not seen that.
No. No, there's
Oh,
yeah. No,
all right.
okay.
Yeah, my blood go up a little bit. No, you know what? No, we can talk about this more. I'm gonna go look for it now. But it's this is it's not a new conversation to
Yeah.
us. Whether it's other agencies out there that have kind of taken what we've done and we've seen plays on like, well, we just did that and they do that, or I mean, actually, all the time, man, people take here's the knock against us, right? So I'll kind of like put this out there, but I'll also tell you because there's actually a conversation here. But the knock against us, if somebody is on talking to you and they're like, "Oh, Studio 88 websites are beautiful, they don't score well, they don't SEO well," and some of them will actually even take examples of ours, even places where like these clients aren't even trying to play the SEO game. Okay, like we have a client in Brooklyn. She's not trying to play that because that is probably like a six-figure investment into SEO.
Mhm.
But they'll take that. See, here's an example of they do this, and so we deal with that all the time. But it's some of that is that conversation of everybody has different marketing strategies and approaches, and there's not a one size fits all for everybody. So a lot of people see the world through this SEO is everything lens. Some people see the
Mhm.
world through marketing is brand lens. Some people see it,
Mhm.
whatever through different lenses. And one of the things arguments we run into most of all, I mean, we work with Brian Baliwas. I know you know him in San Francisco.
Mhm.
Again, he that's another one where he just told me from the start, like, Josh, we're not playing an SEO game. So if you're gonna try and sell me like an SEO package to score well in San Francisco, like that's not our goal. And I'm like, no, I wouldn't tell you that either. Um, when you have 140 dentists in your building and you're downtown San Francisco, like why get into all that mess? There's other ways to do that. And Ashley, you did the same thing. I mean, you were jumping into the community there and relationships, the brand, the doing something different and leaning into that. It was like California is one of the most competitive states in the country. If you play the game everybody else is playing, you're not going to win that. So like, let's figure out some other ways around it to do that. But so I say all that to go. It's cool, man. I'll check them out. We'll see what's up. But you've had people knock off your website too. Like we've seen it. I mean, there's probably been three to four of them
It-
now.
Ah, man. It was funny because this actually was just brought to my attention. There's a dental office, not in the States. They're in a different country, but copied verbatim
Mm-mm.
the format and the words, and they even forgot to remove the Dr. Ashley in Folsom, which
Yeah,
is okay.
I know.
Imitation is a form of flattery, right?
So they say that Drake says it's not flattery; it's just annoying me. And I tend to
Uh,
lean that way on it. Um, no, but no, yeah. Here's something that's interesting. I think I tell my team part of being creative and part of leading the way creatively is we're going to deal with that, right? Like we can get upset, we can go file lawsuits, we can waste energy, but I'm like, guys, we will continue to reinvent and lead the way. That's our curse as a company. Like that is our burden is we have to reinvent ourselves and stay ahead of the game. Um, but I think it's this really interesting conversation around even AI right now, right? Is AI can take a lot of stuff that's out there and analyze it and like reproduce something. And we're starting to get to this place where it's like, oh, that's 80% of the way there. That's 90%. Like that's starting to look really good. The thing is, though, I mean, we're not at a point where AI is creating. And so our team is, we're still talking about how do we incorporate AI and use some of that stuff, but it's creativity is something that's unique to humans right now. And so you've got situations where people take what's out there and they repurpose it. But those who create are really the ones with the power in their minds, in their hands, in their hearts to really affect change. Not only not only like us what we're doing, but those practices in those communities when you can see something different and create that and to speak it and to will it into existence, you're a creator. That's a whole different level than taking something as somebody else's, repurposing it and going, all right, this is good enough for us.
100%. Can we just talk about the explosive growth that your team has had over these past few years? How many team members do you have now?
I think we just hired number 26 this week. So yesterday, actually. Yeah, we're having fun with it. I mean, it it is. It's fast, but I don't know, Ashley. This goes back to that beginning conversation of a lot of people don't know this. We only work with 8 new clients a month, period. Um, so like it's March 30th, but March was done on like Monday of this week, and we've got like 2 new clients that, hey, yes, we want to start. You're going to be first week of April. They're cool with it. Like they kind of knew that coming into it. But I do that because we're not. I'm not trying to be the dental marketing company that's serving like 5,000 practices across the country. That's just not who we are. We are focused. We call it the top 1%. We are focused on, I tell my team 1% of dentistry is about 1,500 clients. Like if we get that big, that is huge. We're not anywhere close to that, but we're focused on that 1%. We
Mhm.
recognize that we are not a fit for everybody. We're not trying to be. We have a distinctive way we do things and belief system of how we think marketing is most effective. And we're working with some of the top practices in the country who see things differently. And so that's our goal. That's our focus. From a business owner, man, I realize if I don't control the growth somewhat, it's probably going to skew my life out of balance. So there was some of that. I also watch every other dental. I also watch every other company. It's not just dentistry. They start growing, they start scaling, and what's the next thing you hear? Oh, their customer service, like I'm starting to have issues. Their customer service sucks. Like I can't get somebody to call me back. I'm having all we see this guys over and over and over again. And I am like determined at the core of my heart, like that is not going to be Studio 88.
It's, you guys run a very boutique operation. And I mean, I can speak to that personally. You guys have built Smiling Company, Little Black Dress, the making of. So it's, and you guys always are so professional. And your videography and photography is like next level. Like just the retreat, I hope people have seen it, but I'm going to be reposting it. I mean, it's unreal. Like I wish you guys lived near me. I would
Oh,
just have you every day
I
creating
would say one
content.
of yeah, yeah. There'd be like a photographer, videographer. They just part time, just go over to your office and
Absolutely.
just shoot stuff
Yeah,
all the time.
absolutely.
Yeah.
What is next for you? Like what is are you guys doing anything in particular? Like are you opening up a different like leg of the company, or are you really just focused on those 8 new clients and how to up the ante, so to speak, on website design and
Yeah.
marketing?
Um, I love that you asked this question. And to be honest, you and I didn't plan any of this. I don't have
No,
a list of
no.
questions. I didn't send you on this. You and I
Oh,
just
sorry.
popped up.
And if you don't want to talk about this subject, we don't have to either.
No, no, it's great. The last year and a half, we have as a company, because we know probably some of the image out there is we're great with branding, we're great with websites, video photography, all that kind of brand stuff. But we know the kind of the argument is, well, but our sites don't perform well. We don't have marketing services built into them, that type of thing. So the last year and a half, we've really actually made an intentional effort, found what I think are some of the top people here in Central Ohio with SEO experience, with digital ad experience, with social media strategy experience, like on our clients' end. And this was a place where I invested into the company to go. As a business owner, you're looking at it, you're like, okay, I can take distributions or I can hire some people and keep growing. And it was one of those decisions of this is really kind of the next step for the company as we evolve. And so didn't change things overnight. It wasn't like, okay, next 30 days, boom, we got all these new services. It was literally about 12 to 14 months later, we changed all of our packages over to be still brand focused, but also kind of build this, what we're calling performance marketing piece into it. And the reason I'm excited about it is because for the first time in dental marketing history, which sounds like for the first time ever in dental marketing history, um, it's no, it sounds silly when I say it like that, but really for the first time, I think a lot of people when they've gone to marketing companies or they've gone to, like, let's say, do a website, they've had to choose beautiful site or a site that's going to perform well with Google. And they've been kind of like exclusive of each other. And
Mhm.
and so there's companies that are like us that are really good with the branding side. And then there are companies that are really good with the Google SEO side, but usually those sites don't they're not aesthetically designed well.
Mhm.
They're not speaking human. And then ours are, they're not stuffed with keywords. They're not probably hitting some of those Google metrics, but we've built a team now, went through, analyzed all of our sites, reworked all of our processes, all of our packages and actually have data now on like the first kind of round of these where I'm like, oh, we can build a beautiful site and these can score really, really well. And so I'm excited about that because I love what my team's been doing behind the scenes. And I think for the first time, it's like you can have the best of both worlds. Like you don't have to choose. You can have this beautiful website and it can be ranked number 1 or number 2 on Google. And so some of that is I think Google's algorithms have shifted. They're leaning towards like sites that have more engagement on them, which I think
Mhm.
is awesome. So if you have a human actually on your site engaging, like that's going to help that site score. So our sites do that well, but we've optimized a ton of other things. So I think it's kind of a new day for us of yeah, like you don't have to choose. And I think we're the first one out there. We're like we can literally deliver both of those to you.
Well, and like Josh said, I had no idea what we were going to talk about today. So that is amazing. I'm really excited to see the rollout of this.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, and Ashley, here's the other thing we changed with it. And this is not salesy. This is just me. Like I'm excited right now for these, but we built in because I think you would love this. And if you don't, tell me. But I think you would appreciate this. But for clients that work with us, we basically have it built in now where after every 24 months, so let's say every 2 years, we do a photo session or a video session for free for our clients. So
wow.
like you build the site with us, and then 24 months later, we're going to come back out and do photography at no extra cost. It's built in. So now we're not like solving that. How do we refresh content? How do we keep stuff fresh? New team members have left. How do we solve that? It's just built into our relationship.
Wow.
So I think that's another thing that's going to be super cool. We're calling it like free production for life, you know? So
That
you,
is wild.
yeah,
That's amazing. I'm so
yeah,
excited about that. Can you come like
yeah.
next week?
I know. We just need to, yeah. Well, I know. I was saying, yeah, well, you have this exciting news because you got another practice opening,
Yeah.
and we've kind of got it like earmarked. We're, in the summer-ish, just kind of watching
Yes.
the date. We'll definitely be there.
Okay. I'm gonna hold you to that. And then we're gonna go back to wine country that
Yeah,
weekend. Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's a
If
done
I
deal.
if it was up to my team, they would be out there twice a year at least to get stuff. Because yeah,
Oh man, no, I think it's done. Like Colin, I know you're watching this. I feel like it's got to be in wine country again this year. Like it's my favorite place, and to be able to host everyone in our backyard, um, I mean, I just it's just so special, and there are so many different wineries. You could choose a different winery every year for like you can't even you still wouldn't be able to visit all of them.
yep,
So
yeah.
it's gonna be fun.
One more thing. Can I tell you this? I don't know. Are we on? How long are we
Uh,
on for?
we still got half an hour. Yeah, you're good.
Oh,
Or whenever
we're
you
good.
need to go.
Okay. No, here's the other exciting piece. So we're at 26 people, but we're in 1,600 square feet of space, which is really small. So we've been just like, I keep adding tables and stools and so it's all super cozy, but we actually just put an offer on some land here in our hometown we're actually in New Albany, which is a suburb of Columbus, but we're going to build a new, I'm calling it the world headquarters, the Studio 88 world headquarters here in
That's
Columbus. So
amazing.
yeah, it should be done like next summer. So I get to go through like the whole building process too, like all
Yes. Oh my
so
gosh. Okay, so we were just talking, Brian and I were just talking about making a trip out to see you guys because one, we have family there in Ohio and yeah, like I've been meaning to do that and visit you in your hometown and see what you guys do best. But I'm excited. Now, should I push it for when the world headquarters opens?
we're looking at, hopefully we're going to break ground in the fall, like maybe October, and then hopefully next summer we get to move in, which will be super fun. I mean, I'm already thinking through like, because it's funny, our space right now, people talk to me about it. They're like, "Oh, your space looks amazing," and I'm like, "It's so old. Like it feels so old and so cramped." And but it's played a part in our brand, right? Like our online perception, and so we're now rethinking new space, like the Instagrammable parts of it, right? And some of that stuff, but like making
Oh.
like really cool parts that, because we just know people are going to see it on social, and what do we want that how do we want it out there? So
Oh my gosh. Well, I cannot wait. I'm going to visit you every month.
okay. I don't know if Brian is still there in the
um
background or not, but he's like, okay.
Now, if you're watching and you have marketing questions, I mean, please chime in because Josh and I can talk all day about food, wine, all of the above. What okay, you mentioned SEO.
Yeah.
What is like when do you recommend docs start investing in SEO?
Yeah, it really, I think, depends on your goals and strategies starting off. I tell startups, I feel like the phase one foundational pieces are more of those branding pieces. Like, get your logo right from the start.
Mhm.
If you don't, that's just gonna, everything hinges on that for the next decade. So if you don't get that, you're gonna have some trouble with it. That's the first piece. Get the website, that web experience looking amazing, which we can talk a little bit more about how I feel like they've kind of moved from like websites to more web experiences. Um, but get that right, some photography, some video, because you can use those not only on the website but through social media. You do a magazine ad or something for the school, now you've got like assets to work with. So That's kind of my foundational level. Now from there, it just depends on how aggressive you want to be. I think it also you need to take into consideration your community, where you're at. Like I said, we've got a client, we've got a couple clients in downtown Chicago. Those SEO conversations, I'm like, guys, you just have to know this is probably, I mean, this could be 40, 50, 60,000 a year in just SEO
Hmm.
to just make progress. And we're
Hmm.
definitely looking at over a six-figure investment easily by the time we even probably get on the first page. So at the same time, you could probably take a third of that, put it into Google ads that are highly targeted social media ads, and get 5 or 6 times that return on that investment. And so you just have to look at some of that. SEO is a long-term play. Once you get there, you can kind of maintain that, and that's going to be a ton for you. But actually, here's the other thing with SEO is that a lot of people don't talk about or forget is when, like, Brian Baliwas, for example, when he was talking about San Francisco, he's like, yeah, but 80% of people are searching for us on mobile phones. And so it's
Hmm.
not desktop. They're on Google Maps, and that's being returned by location. It's being returned by the amount of reviews. So we have these SEO conversations, and a lot of times we're talking about 20 to 30% of traffic on a desktop.
Hmm.
And we kind of freak out and lose our minds over that, forgetting like, hey, yeah, but 70, 80% of people are probably out and about at work, whatever, putting you on, searching on their mobile phone, and those search results are different. So if you're right there around the practice, you're going to get returned first. If you got a lot of reviews, like those are really some of the two factors there with how those get returned. So SEO is changing. Google's doing that on purpose because they don't want people hacking it and running the game. So you got to answer kind of all those, and then at the end of it, if it makes sense, like, let's go for it. There's definitely some strategies to do, which we can talk about.
Yeah,
Any of so
absolutely.
you've never. I mean, this is a conversation we've actually never really had a conversation about SEO for you.
No.
You kind of opened with the website and brand and just kind of took off. So I don't even know. Like, I mean, this might be a great question. Is that even important to you? Like, where are your views on it?
I've never thought about SEO. I don't think, I mean, we've done just fine without it, with
Yeah.
just the branding and social media. Um, we are doing direct mail. We have a campaign that I've been more hands-on with, and we haven't pushed it out because of how busy I've been. So that's going to roll out hopefully within the next few weeks, right, Colin?
Okay.
And we'll see what that does. We haven't really done marketing. Like it's like new territory for us, and I'm excited to see what it's going to look like moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those. We're very similar. We've never done any SEO work for us as a company, which again sometimes can get used against us. But we've been very brand focused, very
Hmm.
educational, very story based, relationship driven, networking. So those are all they're all like marketing channels. We've just chosen those. I can point to the 4 or 5 marketing channels we've chosen. It just hasn't been SEO and digital ads as a company.
Yeah.
We ran digital ads on Google for 3 months. I want to say we spent, this was like years ago, we spent 1,500 a month or 2,500 a month, something like that, on like people searching for dental website companies, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, we ran it for 3 months. We got one client out of it who was just probably not the best alignment for our values and was just a handful, to the point where I think our team was like, if these are the clients we're bringing over from Google Ads, like maybe we don't do them anymore, type of a thing. But so that lane, probably we didn't feel like it was the best values alignment. When we're talking about like ideal patients, right, coming into the practice, so much of how you market is based on like what are those ideal patients. If you want people to come in with high trust, like right away, and almost feel like they know you and that relationship established, social media, brand, storytelling, relationships, community, those are your avenues. If you're building, I've got a friend here who opened a 18 op practice from scratch with 3 full-time doctors ready to go. so we just need patients in the door, right? So it's SEO, digital ads, Instagram ads, Facebook ads, it's all the ads, direct mail. I mean,
All
it's
the ad.
everything. Yeah, it's all of it. So I think sometimes like we point fingers like, well, you're not good at this and you're not good at that and you didn't do that. And it's like, guys, hold on. First off, marketing is this whole spectrum of all these things. It's picking and choosing like what aligns with your values, how you want to grow your practice, what you think is going to be effective in those neighborhoods as well.
100%. Yes. So, so, so true. Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine opening with 18 ops and 3 docs and having to feed everybody. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, they, this is his third practice. I want to say his first one was maybe 9 or 10 ops. The second one was like 15 ops. This one's 18 ops. He's a doctor, but he also has his MBA, so he's kind of got some business sense too. But
mhm,
I mean, without like disclosing the name and all that stuff, I mean, it's a 60,000, well, probably $80,000 a month investment into marketing. But his goal was go from 0 to 3 million in year one. An 18 op practice with 3 docs. I mean, it's definitely a higher goal for sure. But I mean, we're in month 8, and he's gonna blow through 3 million at month 12. So it's that question of like, if you okay, what's 80 grand times 12 months? That's almost $1 million
mhm,
in
mhm,
marketing.
mhm.
But if somebody said, but you can finish at 3 million, is that a good deal? From an investment standpoint, it is. From a peace of mind, mental health standpoint, I think would be the other thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you had a ton of growth, but that's like, if you finished year one at 3 million, I mean, just there's a toll that takes on the business owner
Yeah.
too, for sure.
Yeah. And I really love that you guys are so intentional about what the brand is, but where do you want to be? Where does that doctor who does that doctor want to attract? And then go from there. Because you're not just like how you described Studio 88, you're not trying to attract everybody. And
Yeah,
I think as startups, we get lost in the weeds sometimes of just trying to get butts in the chairs. And then we lose focus on those quality patients, those procedures that we actually want to do. So now with the second location, I know we are being very strategic at our avatar and really focusing and honing in on that. So um,
yeah,
slow growth is still growth, I think. So
yeah. And it's I don't know. Sometimes it's this conversation of I like to remind people the biggest companies in the world are brand companies. Like they are
mm,
the Apple, Amazon, the Teslas, because they know something. Like they're not out there. Tesla and Apple are not out there doing gimmicky ads and this quick direct response type tactics, of infomercial and like all these things to just get quick sales. Like those companies do not do that.
right.
They know it's going to take them longer. Like a Tesla, it's going to take them a very long sales cycle to get a lot of people into a Tesla. But hopefully once they do, and this is what I hear from Tesla drivers all the time, they're like, oh, I'll never go back. Like this is it. So like that's the response, right? Is it may take me 6 years to get you to buy a Tesla, but hopefully then we've got you from there on from a customer loyalty. And so I think some of it probably comes from like we all deal with this like scarcity mindset
Hmm.
of what if there's not enough.
Hmm.
So let me just get anybody in the door and do whatever we can and throw money at things to just try to get patients in the door. And I think sometimes it's just taking a moment to stop and go like, you got this. Like
Yeah.
you do,
Yeah.
trust yourself. I've got a coach that tells me a couple times I've just brought situations or issues to him, and kind of at the end, he's like, Josh, trust yourself because
Yeah.
I do. And I'm like, it's a reminder of, yeah, okay, like I got this. This seems like this big right now, but really it's not. And sometimes it feels like what we built can fall apart overnight. Patients are going to all cancel the next day, and then we're just done. Like there's no more patients coming in. Nobody wants to see us. And when you build something that's strong, that's based on a brand and a good patient experience and serving your community, like that's a foundation that's not easily shaken. Like it will be there for, I mean, Ashley, you could quit now and like 20 years later, people will still be like, "Oh, Smile and Co. Like they're still around, right?" Like because it's just they all know it. I mean, I tease my team. I'm like, we could stop this now. Literally 20 years from now, my cell phone will ring and somebody will be like, "Hey, Josh, I'm just I'm ready to got to practice. I'm ready to start a website." I'm like, "Bro, I haven't been doing this for 20 years."
Yeah,
But that's the power of brand if you do it right.
absolutely. And you guys are most definitely doing it right. I wouldn't trust just anybody with my brands, multiple. I
Yeah.
want to pick your brain because you said something about a coach. This is why I
Yeah.
love just like talking to you, Josh, and this is why I love intimate settings, and it was basically the whole reason for the retreat. But like, can you walk me through like who is your coach? Is this a business coach, a life coach? Like, I'm just curious.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a couple of them. One of them, and you probably even know his name, but Alistair McDonald over from the Mark
BSN?
Costas
Yes,
and
yes.
group.
He's like Yoda.
I know, I know. And he's the one that I don't know. Probably just that line of "trust yourself because I do" has just
Mm,
been like huge to me. You know, of he
mhm,
sees me from the outside and he's like, I'm watching all you're doing and I trust you. Like, why do you
mhm,
not trust yourself sometimes? Which I think is just when you flip perspective like that, I think it's just powerful. But then like I mean I've got a kind of another personal coach. I kind of call she's more of a counselor to be honest, but just I see her almost weekly, um, just having conversations around all this. I mean, you know, that was some of what I shared at the retreat was I got to, it's probably like last summer. And after 9 years of running really hard doing this, just felt, actually what happened was like we went on family vacation, which was 2 weeks long. And I was like spent going into it, but you're always thinking, well, I'll recover on vacation. Good thing I've got vacation coming up, all that. Kind of came back out of it and was like, yeah, I'm not back. You know, there's something that like broke or did something. And that comes out in all kinds of different ways. It comes out in your
mhm.
energy, it comes out with your family, it comes out with your
That's
spouse. And so, you know, I mean, Joanna and I started having, we work together, and there's parts of that that are beautiful and amazing. And there's literally nobody else I would want by my side in
mhm,
journey of life. But there's also challenges with that. And as business intensity escalates, I don't know that we had good conversations around like, how does that affect us? Like, what do we do with
mhm,
that? When I'm coming home with tension, when she's coming home with tension, when there's pressure
mhm,
at home, and how does that play out our marriage dynamic? So, you know, we reached out and found that I literally think she's probably like a once in a lifetime person for me and Joanna, but she does some stuff together with us. She does a lot of stuff just with me personally as a just driven business owner. And it's probably just been the biggest, I don't know, probably it's been like in the last year has probably been the biggest thing that's changed my life. It's just conversations with her. And I think she works with a lot of like high powered executive people. And so she kind of knows that
mhm,
world. But yeah, she's also had formal training in marriage counseling. So it's like, that's almost like, it was like the perfect situation of what we needed was somebody who understood like high powered professionals, but also understood marriage dynamics and counseling as well. And so yeah, that was just a moment of reset for a couple months. I was off social media, I think for 7 months total. Um, I cut travel out for, I think it was like 3 months period, and then like half of it the rest of the year. So just kind of wanted to reset, figure out what that pace looks like, you know,
yeah.
the next 10 years. So
Ah, Josh, this is why I mean, I feel like every conversation with you is like good for my soul. Like, not just because you're awesome at what you do, but the ability to really connect and like share just that what you just shared with us. I mean, it it's so needed, especially in this I mean, in our group where everybody is feeling, and they're posting anonymously because they don't feel like they have that outlet just to share, like, hey, I'm struggling. Like, did I make the wrong decision? Why did I put my family in debt? And all of the things that we deal with. Like, it's not just you. If you're feeling stressed or burnt out, like, take a moment, reset, recharge, find a group of people who know exactly what you're going through, and find a
You
coach.
never,
Like,
yeah, and you never. The thing is, actually, you don't. I just know this. You don't typically go to find those people
mhm,
until like something triggers and it happens, you
yep,
know. And I mean, Joanna and I probably literally, if I'm being completely honest, have probably talked about finding somebody to like for the last 3 years, right? Like, oh,
mhm,
like as things kind of start to escalate and little things trigger, and oh, we didn't handle that well, and what's now we're seeing a pattern, and we should talk to somebody, and all that kind of happens, and you just get to this point where you're like, then you realize something is going to like blow up before
yep,
we like deal with this, and then
yes,
you look at it and go, I don't like it's worth too much. And I think for me, one of the things I had to do was just go, because probably I had this like weird thing where if I even getting off social media, if I get off social media, if I just step back, not like step back, but just like take my foot off the gas a bit, right?
mhm,
I cut out some of my travel, this whole thing might stop.
yep,
Like that's what's going through my head.
yep,
And then I did it and we grew more. And I was like, okay. And that was really good for me because it was like, we're at a point now where it's like, this is a business. There are systems that are like they're creating its own momentum of its own. I'm not, so my identity is not tied to that. Like it can't be.
absolutely,
And it's stepping back to go, look, at the end of this, I don't have like I'm not trying to sell this in 10, like get to 10 years to sell at a certain number. Like I'm not trying to do that. We don't, I haven't taken investment money to try to double and then sell. And like there's none of that happening. So it's just like this business is supposed to serve me and
mhm,
my family and my team and their livelihood and mine. And so, you know, it's just resetting on some of that. Like, what is this whole thing for? And we're gonna have great growth. We're gonna get to some numbers that are gonna be fun, but like, I want to do it in a way where I get there. I don't have all this debt. I don't have relational baggage. I haven't lost people. It's this is funny. I like Drake a lot, right? But he just put out this post the other day, and he goes, it was basically along the lines of, I had this dream that I could do this while keeping everybody around me doing it the way I wanted to do it. And whether or not whatever you think of Drake is fine. But I was like, yeah, see, because a lot of people like they go on this journey of fame and they lose everybody around them. They have to start doing it other people's way when there's money's involved, and now you got to do this and do that, and they change. And so I was like, see, that's what I want. Like I want to get to the end of it and go, I did this my way. I did it the way I wanted to. I'm proud of it. I've got everybody still around me. Like all my major people, you know, are still here. And we're all super happy and grateful about it. So,
amen to that. And with that, that is the mic drop. I'm so grateful for you and Joanna and everyone at Studio 88, and I look forward to seeing you guys. I mean, it's got to be in wine country. Like, that's I mean, it's gonna be a health and wellness and even a couples retreat, because that's what I feel my heart needs. And yeah, it's gonna be so good. So good.
well,
Thank you,
I
Josh,
appreciate
so
you. You're like
much.
the queen of vulnerability, and I feel like you just got me like going there for a minute. So,
I just want to kumbaya with everybody because we need it. We just every day need somebody to be our hype man. Like,
yeah.
I don't care who you are, what you're going through. Everybody needs a hype man. And if you're feeling lost in this group because of the size, I mean, I don't blame you. Like, come meet and join your peers in our retreat. It's going to be incredible, and I can't wait. It's going to be November, and we are going to solidify the dates. So yeah, we'll keep you posted.
And I think actually that was the thing too. Is like, there were some really great friendships that were made in November. Like people had kind of
Absolutely.
talked online, but then they got to hang out, and like
Yeah.
that just changes it. those same
It's a
people are going
game
to come
changer.
back. Yeah, because they all want to hang out again. So it's like, yeah, if you're feeling that way, that is probably the best solution. Come in November, meet some really cool people that are probably dealing with the same stuff you are, make some lifelong friends, and let's keep going.
Yes, 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 and yes. Thank you so much, Josh. You're amazing. Where can people connect with you?
Me personally is Instagram at Joshua Scott's the best way. I'm still in that, still responding. So let me know you heard this, whether podcast, webinar, however this comes out. I'll definitely respond to you. Studio 88 is www.s8e8, letter S, number 8, letter E, number 8.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys at home for watching, and reach out to Josh if you are looking for someone incredible to build your website. I mean, look no further. They're amazing. And we'll see you guys soon in Napa.
Thanks.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Hey,